Hello everyone, I'm Nick from nextstepnick.com, and today we're going to talk a little bit about Felix the Reaper. Now, I'm really torn about this game. I'm not sure how to feel about it, in honesty. It's something that I was looking forward to. I'm quite into the macabre. I like this idea of this cute Grim Reaper harvesting souls through puzzles. But for some reason, I really haven't enjoyed it. I'm really torn on whether or not I like it or not. I mean, one of the things immediately that struck a chord with me, it's narrated by Patrick Stewart. I mean, check this out.
Of course, there's your unusual motivation for becoming a Field Reaper. It's not exactly forbidden, but we have been through this, Felix. Being in love is not conducive to the kind of work we do at the Ministry of Death, especially since the object of your affection works for the Ministry of Life. I know you think your missions will provide a chance to run into her in the mortal realm. Where there's death, there must be life and all that.
So that kind of highlights one thing I love about it. I love the fact that I've got this actor I really respect, and also who has an absolutely fantastic voice, telling me about the story, but at the same time, it highlights the fact that when you are told about the story, it's just pure exposition. This entire cutscene at the start, if you've been reading the subtitles, you probably read there, the entire story has just been explained to you within one cutscene. It's not drip fed to you, you don't get to grow to like Felix, and I think that's the problem. I didn't grow to like Felix, I didn't really like him. I was expecting him to be this cute Grim Reaper style character as he sort of bumbles his way towards reaping souls, but instead he's just kind of meh. I don't know why, but it feels like they've really gone for cuteness here. They've really gone for this sweet character, and it just hasn't worked on me. There's a lot of detail about the fact that he dances, and they've hired professional dancers to choreograph these moves that Felix moves with, because the whole premise is that he's listening to his Walkman as he's harvesting people. So say if there's an accidental death, he is going to cause that death by making sure that everything lines up in the correct way. So say, for example, someone, just as a random example, someone is set to fall down a flight of stairs, he will make sure that person is at the top of those stairs and that the stairs are greased. And it's very Mousetrap-esque in that you're basically setting up these scenarios to make sure that people die. So this one here, it's the first scenario you play. It's a bit like a tutorial as well. We're being talked through this. And what we have to do is there's a hunting accident, and we can see that one character has thrown a spear. There's another character over here, so what we're going to do is put this character in front, the spear will hit this character, he will die. Hunting accident. Sounds pretty legitimate and fair, right? But the issue is that you can't step into the light, so you'll see me there moving the camera around, so we're always in shadow. As well as that, we have to make sure that what we're doing is correct for that scenario. So for example here, we haven't got notes, so this actually is a bit of a bungle to kind of explain to you how the game works, and it turns out that you kind of have the wrong target. But then the issue was that this first scene I really liked. I liked this idea of setting up this character to basically meet this grisly end. And I thought from the way it was handled, I thought from the way we see Felix dancing there and stuff like that, I thought it would be quite comical. But it's not really. There are elements of comedy, but they kind of miss the mark. A really good example is at one point a character dies and he's not a great character, you know. You're not exactly rooting for him. You don't mind if he does die. But at the same time, when he does, the people around him start crying. And you think, well, hang on a minute. You don't have this kind of emotional payoff where you feel proud of yourself. Like, the game is really trying to give you. The game is really trying to make you feel proud of yourself and make you feel like a winner. I mean, like with that flashy scene you just saw, words will pop up on the screen that will try to say, oh yeah, congratulations, keep it moving. But in reality, like, have a look at this one here.
Time unfreezes here.
I think what it is that the characters just aren't cute enough per se. I know that sounds strange, but they just miss the mark a little bit. So it ends up just being a bit, yeah, it just looks a bit like, I don't know how to describe it, but I don't enjoy it as much. I was expecting it to be that, for example, we'd see a character squished by a piano, but it would be in a comical way with implied violence rather than something so grim, before the setting changes completely. And then the next mission would be, okay, we're going to be doing something completely different in a high-rise apartment, and it's going to be something else comical that's also got a bit of gore in it. But instead, all of these missions you can see here, that's one person being killed. The rest of the missions there are setting that up. And the problem is that because the death is very rarely very comical, I mean, when we do finally set up the correct person to die in that sequence of that guy here that we're looking at here, when we do set this up, he basically, there's a very, very short sequence that is vaguely, it'll make you smile, but then he just gets hit with a spear. So it's not like this comical end that makes you laugh, it's just very, okay then, matter of factly. And likewise with the cutscenes, you're introduced to each level via a cutscene that shows you which character is where and what the problem is. So for example here, a woman is obsessed with her idol, who's like a singer. He arrives, and because an item is in the way, that tuk-tuk is in the way, she can't see him. So it doesn't start the chain of events that will lead to her death. But the issue is that you don't really have any feeling towards her or him. You're not really that bothered. So when one of them does die, it's just, okay then. And by the time you get there, the puzzles in this game are good, they are functional, they work really well, but they are so frustrating because it's just a case of trial and error. So you could just be, for example, you stack boxes to make more shadow. That's the basic premise. So you're trying to make shadows. But because you're basically there for, you can be upwards of 10, 15, 20 minutes, you don't really care. By the time you do kill a character, you're not bothered. And likewise, there's so much information that's been put into this game in regard to history, telling you why death is the way it is, or why a character is the way they are, or things about little sayings and hearsay and all sorts of different interesting things, like for example the dance moves that Felix does, the people who've been involved in that, the music of the game. But the problem is that by the time you actually read these, you're a bit frustrated and tired and not very interested, so it just doesn't hit the mark. I enjoyed the puzzles for the first level, but when you see that snow level, for example, you've seen already, that's basically 4 or 5 missions worth. And even with like the cute loading screens, they take that little bit too long and they kind of miss the mark. Again, Felix doesn't come off as cute, he just comes off as a bit weird. It doesn't seem to hit the right tone. Likewise with the music, it's meant to be about his obsession with music, but then you get tunes like this. I don't quite understand. I thought what I would be listening to, especially when I read the list of all the artists involved in this project, would be that I would be hearing the music Felix was hearing. I would be hearing this exciting drum and bass style lick, or I'd be hearing like cheesy pop or something that would make me smile and encourage me to go on. But what you actually get is this really monotonous, not good electronic music that just plays over and over and over and over, whilst you struggle to solve a puzzle that is just that little bit too hard. And you've basically, say for example in a puzzle like this, the light will hit you, you change it back. So you will be doing this, trying to solve a puzzle through trial and error, again and again and again and again. And even when the game congratulates you, you have this monotonous soundtrack that is going throughout. I mean, this is an easy puzzle here, but later on, you can actually do hard puzzles. There are specifically harder puzzles, and they're just, they're not very enjoyable. I mean, you also get graded on the puzzles as well, so you have a certain, like a tick list of whether or not you did the right number of moves, whether or not you took the right amount of time, whether you shifted the light enough times, that kind of thing, but you just don't care. By the time you get to the end, I couldn't care less. I mean, this is an example of a harder puzzle here, where we've got these coins to collect as well, but by the time you've got one, there are 3 coins on the level, I just wasn't interested anymore. I just lost the will. It's a really interesting game with a really good premise, and I like what they're trying to do, and I love the art style. I don't think it lends itself to what they're trying to do. I think if you're trying to make something that's quirky and cute about a undead reaper in this comical setting that loves music, play into that. By all means, make him into this character that loves music. Let us hear the music. Show us why we should care. Show us why we should care about this character and why he's sweet. Sure, he's dancing, but it doesn't match with any of the music I'm listening to. It doesn't go in the beat. It doesn't follow the tone of the game. A lot of the time it doesn't follow the scenario either. I mean, sometimes you'll have music that vaguely fits the setting, but for the most part, it just seems so disjointed. And I think that's the issue. Same with Patrick Stewart as a voice actor. He's fantastic when he's in it, but he very rarely speaks. And when he does, and I can understand that, but when he does, it's just exposition. It's not anything of any real interest. He might do the occasional quip here and there, but it's just not enough for me. So I like it. As a puzzle game, it's okay, but prepare to be frustrated, and I just feel like it could have been done a little bit better. Anyway, thank you so much for listening to this, and I hope you enjoyed my video. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. It really helps out in regard to making content. And don't forget to head over to nextstepnick.com to make sure that you see all of my latest articles, written work, reviews and news. But other than that, I'd just like to say thank you again for listening, and hopefully I'll see you again very soon.